Hello, I'm Matt, and I would like to welcome you to the channel. First of all, I'd like to explain the purpose of this channel and the reason that I have this channel and the reason that I wrote the book, Deciding for Life: How I Lost 70 Pounds Without Working Out and While Still Eating the Foods that I Love. The purpose of the channel and the book is to inspire others to have the feeling that I have after losing 70 pounds. Now, I've lost 80 pounds one time and 70 pounds this last time. But until you actually lose a substantial amount of weight, it's really hard to understand how that feels. Uh, and it's even harder sometimes to try to express how that feels. But I feel so much better being so much lighter. I can do things that I couldn't do before. Or I can do things better than I could do them before because I don't have all that extra weight to carry around. And what I would like to do is inspire other people that are substantially overweight to lose some to lose weight, to find a healthy way for them to lose weight. I'm not a medical professional. I don't give any medical advice. What my goal is to inspire you to find a healthy way for you to decide to live your life. And with that, what I mean is the ideas and the things that I do in my videos and in my book. If there's something that you're interested in trying, make sure that you check with your doctor to make sure that the things that work for me will be healthy for you. Because something that works for me may not be healthy for you and your health conditions. So make sure that anything that you see in my book or in my videos that you think you may want to try, you run by your doctor so that you can make sure that it's healthy for you. If this is your first visit to our channel, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you will be notified when we upload a new video. All of these things help get this information to more people and hopefully inspire more people to find a healthy way to live their lifestyle. The system that I use is what I call my Deciding for Life system. And in this system, it's based similar to the Body for Life system. It's just a little bit different because my system is designed around not working out while I'm doing my system. And with that system, just like Body for Life system, you have 6 days that you have a system day that you eat according to the system to lose weight. And then you have a cheat day to enjoy yourself and enjoy eating the foods that you love. And this system has worked very well for me. One of the benefits of my personality is I don't need a lot of variety in my diet in order to be happy. Some people, they want to eat different things all the time, every day. But for me, I can pretty much just, eat the same things and be quite happy. As an example, I spent 10 years working construction. In those 10 years, I probably had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch, probably all of those 10 years, because I'm not a big person in variety. And that is one of the things that works well for me with my system, because once I find something that works, I don't have to find several somethings that have the same amount of protein and carbs and that to work. So for me, that makes it quite simple. For somebody else, they may have to do a little bit more thought and put a little bit more thought into it. But I truly believe if anybody really wants to reduce their weight, they can do a little bit of research like I did to find different things that'll work and find and decide for them what works for their lifestyle and for their health so that they can live a healthier and happier life. My typical breakfast has changed a little bit through my Deciding for Life system. I started off using the same breakfast that I did when I did the Body for Life system before, which I got from their Body for Life system book. But it has changed a little bit. I started with just 1 egg on 2 pieces of whole wheat toast. And typically, when I started the system, I was using just your store brand 100% whole wheat bread to make my toast. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here a little bit later when I talk about the change that I've made to my bread. But my initial breakfast, that's what it consisted of, was 2 pieces of toast with 1 egg. And that's what I would have for breakfast. And that has since changed to I eat an omelet with spinach, peppers, and onions in it to add a little bit more fiber to my breakfast. And I only use 1 piece of whole wheat bread that I make. So that's changed a little bit over time. My normal lunch when I first started the Deciding for Life system was just a Dan and Light and Fit yogurt. And since then, after reading and learning some different things, I've changed that. Now granted, the Dannon Light and Fit yogurt I've had great luck with. I've lost over 120 pounds through 2 diets eating the Dannon Light and Fit Greek yogurts. So I think it is a really good tool to use for snacks and for lunch at the time. But currently, what I have for lunch is a 1 egg omelet with peppers, onions, and spinach, just like my breakfast. It's just 1 egg instead of two. And I don't have a piece of bread when I'm trying to lose weight with my Deciding for Life system. I have 2 snacks throughout the day. The first one is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And when I started my Deciding for Life system, I was eating the Dannon Light and Fit yogurts. And I'll explain a little bit more about why I changed that here shortly. And currently, I make protein balls that are about 120 calories that are made from pecans with unsweetened coconut flakes and 100% dark chocolate made into protein balls. And I put some salt on those to give it a little bit of a salty taste that's more like eating a potato chip. But those work well for me. And I typically have my snacks at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. My last meal for the day is typically, or last snack really, is not really what I'd call a meal, is at 9 o'clock at night. And currently that would be the protein ball, and I add 1 Granny Smith apple at night. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But that would be my 9 o'clock snack. Those are the 2 snacks that I have throughout the day, which is a little different from the Body for Life system. Typically, what we have for dinner is what I would consider pretty normal. I wouldn't call it necessarily a diet dinner. But typically, most diets you don't see people eating dark meat chicken, but we'll have chicken thighs. I usually have about a fist-sized portion of chicken thigh, which is typically about 2 chicken thighs the way that they come out with the chickens that the chicken thighs that we buy. And we'll have either broccoli or beets or carrots or something like that, some vegetable like that for our vegetable. And then we'll have a carb, and I have carbs every day. I don't cut all the carbs out like in the keto system, or most of the carbs out like in keto, I guess. And typically my carb is, we'll have a fist-sized baked potato, or we may have a fist-sized baked sweet potato, or we may have rice, or we may even have pasta. A lot of things that you wouldn't think of in a normal diet. But because of the way I eat the rest of the day, I can have a meal like that and keep it with the appropriate portions, typically, like I say, the size of the palm of your hand or the size of your fist. And that works well for me. Now, since I started my Deciding for Life system, I have made some adjustments from different things that I've read in books and some different things that I've seen on YouTube. One of those things that I decided to change was I went from eating the 100% whole wheat bread, store brand, to making my own whole wheat bread. And the reason that came about is I was watching a YouTube video, and I wish I remembered which one it was so that I could give appropriate credit. But I was watching a YouTube video, and I think it might even have been a short, but they were talking about all the chemicals that are in the breads and that we eat, and how you can't read the back of the labels because there are so many things on the label that you can't even hardly pronounce. So I got my store brand of whole wheat bread, and I looked at the back of it, and I saw that there's quite a few things on here I don't know what they are, and that is kind of concerning in a way because you have all the preservatives and everything else in there. And so I decided to start making my own whole wheat bread. So I picked a YouTube video made by John Kirkwood on his No Knead whole wheat bread, which I will have a video out about shortly. But it's a very simple bread to make, and it tastes good. And I've made some adjustments for me that you'll see in that video when I post that. But I did switch to making my own whole wheat, 100% whole wheat bread for myself because it only has 4 or 5 ingredients versus all these ingredients on the back of a label of bread that I can't read, or I can read, but I don't understand what most of them are. So that was one change that I made. And part of my concern about all of the other ingredients that are in, the whole wheat breads that you buy from the store is, when you watch TV, you cannot watch TV without seeing commercials about medications. And it's interesting to see all of the side effects that medications can have. And in fact, when you sit there and listen to them or read the bottom of the screen and see all these different side effects that a lot of these medications can have, it really makes you wonder why anybody takes them. I know there are a lot of good reasons to take them, and I know for liability purposes they put all that information out there, but it makes me think a little bit, because when I look at foods, and you think about the interactions medications can have, I kind of wonder what interactions different foods can have. So if you've got, a bread that has only 4 or 5 ingredients in it versus a bread that has all these ingredients that you can't even pronounce, which one is more likely to have negative side effects? And then when you look at, when you're looking at drugs, you have to make sure you don't take 2 drugs that, might interact negatively with each other. Well, what about ingredients? So if I add all of these other ingredients that are in my store-bought bread, plus some other foods that I like to eat, could they have a, side effect that they don't get along well, like 2 medications can not work well together? So those are some of the things I think of. Now, I'm not a medical professional. I don't even know if it matters, but it's just a thought in my head. So if there is the possibility that, I could have more interactions by having more, different foods in my body, just like you can with drugs, because, a drug in your body has a specific effect on your body, and so do foods, because they provide you minerals and nutrition and calories, and all of them act a little bit differently, I'm sure, because they're not exactly the same thing. So all of these different things could have different effects. So that was partly why I decided to go to making my own bread. It has 4 or 5 ingredients, and I don't have to worry about any, all of these other interactions that they may have. And when you think of foods, and you think of, medications or drugs, I mean, drugs, medications, foods, they all have an effect on your body. So, and I think of the things that people are addicted to. I used to be a police officer. I'm sure you've probably seen that. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably noticed it behind me. But I was a police officer. When I went to the police academy, when they were talking about drug addictions, it's kind of interesting because it seems kind of similar to what you get with a sugar addiction, or, the sugar high that you get. A person takes drugs to get a specific feeling that spikes initially when they take it, and then it crashes usually, and then you want more of it. So you go back and get more of it, and then it doesn't have the same effect on you. At least that's what they taught us. So you end up taking more of it to get the same effect that you got before, and you build up a tolerance. And, it kind of sounds like the same issue that you have with sugar. And I kind of wonder, when you look at all the medical issues that people say sugar causes, like diabetes, doctors are always on TV talking about how, people's intake of sugar, contributes to diabetes and all these other sweeteners that if you look online, you see, them talking about, increasing, diabetes and all of the other conditions that are negatively affected. I mean, how many people do you know that are diabetic that have lost toes and fingers and all sorts of things because they're diabetic, or their vision has gone bad because they're diabetic? And when you think about it, all of the um, a lot of things that people end up dying for, even if it is an older age, is related to their health not being so great. And, how many of those are affected by processed sugar? So, it kind of makes me wonder which drugs kill the most people. Now, it's kind of interesting, a person will look at somebody that has an addiction to an illegal drug, and they really look down on them, but then they'll go in their kitchen and dig out the sugar, in their sugary cookies, and eat a whole bunch of them because they're just as addicted to that sugary cookie as that drug user is addicted to their drugs. But because the sugar is legal and the drugs are illegal, but they're both killing you just a little bit slower on the sugar side than on the drug side. It's just kind of an interesting thought. And it's something that, because I was a police officer, I think about, and the lens that I look through is, it has been formed by, 26 years of being a police officer. One specific example that I can use from my life And I can't say it totally correlates because I have no way of proving it correlates. As I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew, and I'd drink 3 or 4 or 5 of them a day, 20-ounce bottles. And I used to have a growth right here by my eye when I was drinking all the Mountain Dew. And it had gotten to the point where I was starting to think about having it. I was going to have to think about having it removed. Well, I went on a diet where I lost 80 pounds and I quit drinking soda. And it was kind of strange to me. I quit drinking Mountain Dew, and 35, 45 days later, the growth was gone from around my eye. Now, I'm not a medical professional. I can't say that Mountain Dew caused that growth to be there. I just find it interesting that once I quit drinking soda, it went away. I haven't had a soda since, and guess what? I still don't have the growth. So, I can't say it's a correlation, but at least for me, that's a clue. It may not be correlation, but it's a clue enough that I'm not drinking soda anymore. In life, we have a tendency to find substitutes for things that we drink or things that we eat, and sometimes that works out well. And coffee is something I didn't really drink very much, but I went close to a year with just drinking mostly water, except on my cheat day. So I was at my aunt's house one day in Erie, Pennsylvania, and she made coffee for everybody. Well, this was while I was losing my 80 pounds, or might have been about the time I finished losing my 80 pounds. And I really didn't want to add sugar and cream to my coffee because I didn't want to add the calories. So I thought to myself, well, I'll just try it black. I'd never tried it black, but let's just drink it, black and see how it comes out. Well, it's kind of strange to me because I hadn't been drinking sweet drinks for so long that when I drank the coffee, it actually had a little bit of a sweet taste to me. And that's pretty much the way I drink my coffee. I've drank it ever since. And that was probably about 8 or 9 years ago. So, that's the way I drink my coffee now. And, maybe on a cheat day, I might throw some chocolate in it, some cocoa in it with a little bit of sugar. But other than that, I don't add anything to my coffee. And I find it pleasant to drink because I typically only drink water and coffee. And that works for my deciding for life system. That works for me. One of the things that I learned from making my own whole wheat bread is sometimes when you make something that's more healthy for you, you have to adjust how much you eat because it may have more nutrition in it than the stuff that you bought from the store that's full of all of those preservatives. Because one of the things that I noticed as soon as I started making my own whole wheat bread was when I made my very first loaf, I realized how much heavier it was than the store-bought bread. Well, after eating it for a couple of days, I noticed that it was also providing more nutrition because I couldn't eat so much and still have the normal weight loss that I had because there was more calories and nutrients in the 100% whole wheat I was making than what I was buying from the store, because I noticed almost immediately that my weight loss started to slow down as soon as I switched over to eating my homemade whole wheat bread. So what I ended up doing is instead of having 2 pieces, is I went to 1 piece of whole wheat bread. And you do end up cutting it a little thicker too, because it's really hard to cut it quite as thin as what you buy from the store. But I switched to 1 piece, so that didn't work with my breakfast sandwiches anymore. So I decided I would make an omelet to go along with my bread. And that's what I've been eating since, and it's worked very well for me. But you have to keep in mind that sometimes when you eat something that's healthier for you, you may have to eat a little bit less of it in material so that you can have the same effect that you're used to. And that's what I found that worked out for me. One of the other things that I changed is, and if anybody really knew me, they probably heard me say this before, is, I don't eat dog food. I don't eat cat food. So why would I want to eat rabbit food? It's kind of something I've said to people for years. And I still don't eat salads because I really don't like lettuce, and it really turns me off. But I did see a video that really talked more about adding leafy greens to your diet to add some more minerals into your diet and, other healthy things into your diet. So I decided I wanted to start adding leafy greens to my diet, but I don't like them. They don't taste good to me. So I decided to do some research online and try to find some spices, because I like spicy food, that I could use to cover up the green leafy vegetables. So what I did is I did a search on Google and I picked a whole bunch of hot spices and other spices that are supposed to be good for you. and I made it into a mix, which I call Matt's Mix kind of as a joke, but that's what I put on my omelets so that I can add spinach or kale to my omelets and make it palatable to me. Because without the spices, I really don't care to eat spinach or kale because it just doesn't taste good to me. But if I put enough spice on it, the spice works. And on top of that, some of the spices that I picked are supposed to reduce hunger. And then there's some of the spices I picked because they're supposed to be healthier for you. So there is all of those benefits that go along with covering up the taste of something that I wouldn't normally eat. So now, in a way, I do eat a little bit of rabbit food, but not like most people think of eating rabbit food. One of the things that helped me greatly with my Deciding for Life system was starting to cook for myself. Because once you start cooking for yourself, I grew up, my mom cooked for us for the most part. Once I got married, my wife, has done almost all the cooking, or my kids. And you really have a different understanding of cooking when you start doing it for yourself and what goes into cooking. And it's not really as difficult as you think it is. When I grew up, my mom might make bread as a special occasion. Or I remember when me and my wife first got married, she had a bread machine for a while. So I really thought making bread was difficult. But really, when you sit down and make it, making bread is so dang simple. I really don't know why anybody would want a bread machine because it's really a simple thing to make. But once you start cooking for yourself and see it's really not that difficult, and then you're able to control the ingredients, and you can tailor those ingredients specifically for you when you're cooking for yourself. That has really also helped me greatly in my Deciding for Life system. One of the books that I read that has also changed some of the things that I've done with my Deciding for Life system is the book called The Glucose Revolution, written by a woman by the name of Jessie, and I am not going to try to pronounce her last name because I would just butcher it. But it is a very interesting book, and it's a book that she wrote based on her use of an instant glucose monitor. And the Glucose Revolution book really isn't a book about diet, but it's more a book about flattening out your glucose curve. And what that does for me in my thought process is if I don't get those spikes and crashes, because the crash is where you feel really hungry, if I can level that out, I can better moderate the foods that I eat through my 6-day system part of my diet. And even on my cheat day, I use some of the techniques on my cheat day so that I don't absorb quite as many of the carbs and the sugars. The Glucose Revolution book is a book that I think is a really good book for anybody to read that wants to maybe not feel so hungry, maybe wants to eat better, maybe wants to live a healthier and happier lifestyle. Because if you read my book, Deciding for Life, you can learn a lot from it, but you can also learn a lot from the Glucose Revolution. And it may really help change your life. And I'll talk about a couple things that I've implemented from the Glucose Revolution book. One of the things she talks about is the order that you eat your food. So what she recommends and this is something that she saw using the instant glucose monitor, was that if you ate your high fiber vegetable first, your protein second, and then whatever you were eating for your carbohydrate third, your glucose spike would be more flattened. It wouldn't be as much of a peak and as much of a crash. So that is one thing that we've implemented into our diets. Another thing that I've implemented into my diet is, like I said in the beginning of this video, I used to eat the Dannon Light and Fit Greek yogurt as my snacks. And from reading this book, I've learned that, that sugar that's in the Dannon Light and Fit yogurt was what was causing my spike and then crash where I'd get really hungry after I'd eat the Dannon Light and Fit yogurt sometimes. So that is one place that I've made a change, and I've switched from eating the Dannon Light and Fit yogurts to making my protein balls, which you can see a video of if you go to the link at the end of this video. Another technique that I use that I found in the book, Glucose Revolution, is adding in a high fiber or high protein food before I have a high carb food. And one of the stories she talks about was a person that she wrote about in her book that used to like to go out to eat high sugary foods with his friends, a meal with lots of sugar and stuff and carbs in it. And one of the things that he implemented was he would eat a bowl of broccoli before he would go out and eat with his friends, and that lowered his glucose spike. So one of the things that I do, I wanted to add some more fiber at night so that it made me a little bit more regular to go with my protein ball, because one of the things about eating a lot of proteins that I found through doing a couple of different diets was that it can kind of make you a bit constipated if you don't have enough fiber added in. So one of the things I like is I like Granny Smith apples. So what I'll do is I'll have my protein ball at night, and then I'll have my Granny Smith apple. And because it's so close to when I go to bed anyway, the last snack is at 9 o'clock. I typically go to bed at 11. I don't notice the spike so much. And then my system is much more regular when I have the Granny Smith than if I just had the protein ball by itself. These are just some of the things that I do in my Deciding for Life system that I have found that work very well for me so that I can live a happier and healthier and much lighter lifestyle. I hope that I can inspire you through my stories in my book and through this YouTube channel to live a healthier and happier lifestyle for yourself. These are just some of the things that I have decided for my life that work for me in my Deciding for Life system that work for me. I hope that I've inspired you to decide for your life, to find what works for you and your health conditions so that you can live a happier and healthier and lighter lifestyle. If you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you will know when we upload a new video. If you think some of this content can be helpful to a friend or family member, please share, because if they could feel what I feel about being able to do the things I want to do because I've lost 70 pounds, if you know somebody that could use it, please share it with them, because it is truly life-changing to lose a substantial amount of weight. So please share it. If you have a question or a comment, or you know something more about health than I do, and can share something that can help this community to live a happier and healthier lifestyle and lighter lifestyle, please leave a comment in the comment section. And if you have a question or something, I will answer it in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and may you have an awesome and healthier and lighter day.